and to revel in the style and atmosphere of a bygone era. It's the Goodwood Revival meeting. The man responsible for reviving the glory days of Goodwood. Why is it so important to you to keep these traditions alive?
Well, I think the thing about Goodwood is it's probably the only classic track in the world still exactly as it was when it was built. So when we were going through this renovation process, it seemed that was what we should focus on. So we decided to put it back to exactly how it was, and it went even further. We decided everyone should come dressed appropriately, you know, driving the right cars, carrying the right picnic hampers, and people have then taken it on themselves. So it's gone, the detail's gone on more and more, really.
I mean, even the farm around the circuit is in period style as well, isn't it?
It is. Well, we had some great photos in '48 of the racing taking place with the harvest going on at the same time. In fact, it always used to. So we put the corn stooks back up, and we've got all the steam traction engines out there actually threshing corn at the moment. Yeah, so it's fun, and it takes the drivers by surprise. They come through the corn and suddenly they've got this threshing machine in front of them.
Was it better then or just different?
No, I think it was just different, really. But I think the whole look of it was more exotic, and I think the cars were obviously, you know, had a very different feel, and the drivers drove 6 races a day, and it was a much more amateurish, sort of enthusiast kind of world. And obviously the whole world's changed now, but that's how it was then, that's how it is now. But it's fun to look at that and make it sort of funky and sort of, you know, wild at the same time.
For our first race of the day, the Sussex Trophy for sports cars from 1955 to 1960. With me, a legend of motorsports, Sir Sterling Moss, who's driven many of them.
All of them actually when they were new.
Some of the cars, a little bit of the form
Tremendous.
Guide here, Sterling. Look at the Aston Martin DBR1, that's great history for you.
DBR1 Aston, I would say, is one of the finest handling front-engine cars ever. I mean, that was a car that would go around Nürburgring, and we did win with it. So that has to be a big contender. The Reventlow Scarab, that's terrific. And Donna Roscoe's over from America. I mean, we have a fantastic field here. Look at all these D-types.
Can I just draw your attention to a car down here, Old Yeller? That brings back some memories, doesn't it?
Old Yeller. I never raced Old Yeller, but I did drive it. I went out to open they asked me to be there as marshal or something in California. And the guy who picked me up, and he said, try this. He picked me up at the airport, said, try it. And I drove it, and I was apparently doing 50 in the 40 zone. The police pulled me, and they fleeced me. I went like this, you know. And I was in overalls. And so they said, well, you go in the cooler. I said, well, you know, it's breakfast time, let's go. So I actually went inside, and then I got £100, I think, £100 back from the BBC for appearing on one of their shows to tell them about it. So I have good memories of Old Yeller.
Wait for the Union Jack, which will go up, and then down it goes. And a great start from Peter Hardman from the middle of the front row in the Aston Martin. Hardman is first away and steams away from that little Ferrari, and into second place, the Chevrolet-powered Lister of Julian Bronson. Barry Williams is up there in the Tajero in third place, but Tony Dron now is starting to get into his stride. But it's Peter Hardman who leads in the ex-Sterling Moss Aston Martin. Into second place, it's Julian Bronson with the Chevrolet-powered Lister. And in third, we've got the Jaguar D-Type, I think, of Gary Pearson making a brilliant start. Gary Pearson in the D-Type number 10 is third. Sterling, this must be a very nostalgic race for you to watch, because you raced almost all of these cars. You raced the DBR1, you certainly raced Listers, you raced D-Types, you raced birdcage Maseratis.
I actually drove most of the cars when they were new, but not that little Ferrari. I drove other Ferraris, but not that one. That, I think, must be a very nimble car, and it's interesting because he hasn't got a very strong clutch. But he's obviously had to hold back at the start. It'll be interesting to see how long it takes him to sort of come to the surface at the front.
The car to look out for is the Scarab of Donna Roscoe, who had to start from the pit lane because he stalled on the grid before the warm-up lap. Donna Roscoe is 20th at the moment out of 26 starters and is storming through the field. and look how Peter Hardman drives that DBR1 absolutely sideways. Wonderful to watch. Tony Dron in second place as Hardman opposite locks his way out of the chicane to come through to complete his third lap. And there's Tony Dron in second place in the Ferrari, the big Costin-bodied Lister of Julian Bronson, number 12 in third place, the D-Type of Gary Pearson fourth. There's Tiffany Dell in fifth place in the Lister, going through Madgwick Corner with Barry Williams right on his tail. They all seem to like opposite lock motoring, these people, well, Sterling.
I must say that the Hardman style is really something to watch. I don't honestly think it'd be the thing for a TT, because you do put an awful lot of strain through the tyres and so on, but it's wonderful for the spectators here in a race like this.
Look at Tony Dron right on Peter Hardman's tail now. The Aston Martin has more power in a straight line. Donna Roscoe is parking the Scarab, that lovely car built by Troutman Barnes for Lance Revenclough, the son of the millionaire Woolworth heiress Barbara Hutton. Bronson still third, Needell still fourth. The Mercedes going very slowly to keep out of everybody's way. So Bronson only 1.8 seconds or so behind Hardman. Still close enough to profit if either of these two do anything they shouldn't. And Tony Dron's getting absolutely alongside, takes the tight inside apex coming out of Lavant Corner, and now they're on the straight. Can the Ferrari have enough steam to get alongside? He's got the inside line as they come down now to Woodcote Corner. This has got to be Tony Dron's opportunity. How late is he going to brake? But he brakes as late as he can. A beautiful move, and Peter Hardman has to let him go. A nice move, Sterling.
That was that really was a classy move there, I must say.
So Dron the leader now in the Ferrari, with Peter Hardman in second in the Aston Martin. We've still got Julian Bronson third in the big V8 Chevrolet-powered Lister, and a great battle developing for fourth place. Gary Pearson in the D-Type is fourth, Barry Williams is fifth in the Tajiro, and they've both gone off. They're off at Lavant. The D-Type and the Tajiro have tangled at Lavant Corner. We didn't see what happened, but both cars are clearly badly damaged. Gary Pearson trying to drive the D-Type to a slightly safer position, and I don't think that Barry Williams can move the Tajiro, but quite clearly they're both out of the race. And all of that has left Tony Dron very comfortable in the little 246 Dino. He won this race last year and the year before. He's on his way to make it a hat-trick. This is a wonderful car, this Ferrari, second in the Targa Florio in 1960 in the hands of Von Trips and Phil Hill. There is Peter Hardman, who certainly hasn't stopped trying, but Tony Dron goes for the checkered flag. Tony Dron wins the Sussex Trophy for the third year in succession. Headlights ablaze. Second place goes to Peter Hardman, and Julian Bronson's Lister Chevrolet is third. But the victor for the third time, Tony Dron.
Coming up next, Rowan Atkinson takes to the track. The stars pay tribute to the late, great Barry Sheen, and how to get the Goodwood look.
Slow. All right. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1.
Well, coming up next is the St Mary's Trophy for production cars that raced in the 1960s. And with me is a man who takes his motorsport very seriously, Rowan Atkinson. Rowan, I say motorsport, but very much historic motorsport is your first love, isn't it?
Yes, it is only historic motorsport, mainly Aston Martins. That's the main thing that I've driven over the last 5 or 10 years. Yeah.
What is it that attracts you to the historic cars over their modern-day cousins?
Well, I don't know. It's probably an area in which I feel as though I can not look too foolish. I mean, because it tends to be a little less, well, obviously a lot less competitive than the far more, professional arenas of modern motorsport. And there are lots of sort of, hapless amateurs like me in historic motorsport, and that seems to be the place where I belong, if I belong anywhere in the motor racing firmament, which I may not.
So you like to think of yourself as a gentleman racer, do you?
I'm definitely, well, an amateur, yes. A rank amateur is how I describe myself, who just desperately tries to drive within his own rather low limitations.
If you could take any one of the cars that are here today home with you, which one would it be?
Oh, promise. Well,
another tricky question.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I suppose in theory what one should take away is the most valuable car. So that would be a Ferrari GTO or something of that nature. But if one was going to take the friendliest car that I've ever driven, is this one, is the Ford Falcon. This to me, is a really, really enjoyable car. So if I was going to take a really enjoyable car, which I know is enjoyable, then I'd take this one that I'm racing.
You're all fired up and ready to go?
I've got to be, haven't I? 17th on the grid. They've changed the engine after qualifying because we were down 1,000 revs, then the thing just blew itself up. So, bit of overtaking practice, Louise.
Well, this is definitely the race of comedians. We've got Rowan Atkinson, Perry McCarthy and our very own Tony Jardine. In fact, speaking of which, your qualifying performance was a bit of a joke, wasn't it?
We had 1.5 laps in 2 days, Lou. These imps are quite temperamental, but they're lovely, lovely little Irish things.
So you're not necessarily totally race prepared?
No, I'm not race prepared at all, but Lou, watch me coming through from the rear, as they say.
Well, he is indeed on the back row of the grid, but on the front we've got the cheeky little Mini of Norman Grimshaw. He's on pole ahead of the big V8 Ford Falcons of Nick Whale and Andy Bacon. Green flag at the back says everybody is ready to go. Look for John Fitzpatrick's big 7-litre Ford Galaxy on the second row, but they're away. And look at that Galaxy squeezing on the grass, going alongside the Mini, and the Mini is overwhelmed by the V8 horsepower, but going in front of the 2 red and gold Ford Falcons. Andy Bacon on the outside, Nick Whale on the inside. It's Whale who gets the lead. Jerry Marshall is right up there as well with the Lotus Cortina as they go through Ford Water and on now down to St Mary's, and it's Falcon 1, Falcon 2, Lotus Cortina 3, Ford Galaxy 4, and Derek Bell in the grey Mark I Jaguar also coming up well. He's now in 6th place. And now John Fitzpatrick putting Nick Whale under real pressure there. That huge Galaxy. The Falcon is a big car. The Galaxy is even bigger as we look at Tony Jardine in the little Hillman imp. Tony Jardine currently running in 20th place. The fastest lap to John Fitzpatrick at the moment, but it hasn't been enough to get him into the lead. Then this great battle for 4th place with Jerry Marshall and the Mini of Norman Grimshaw almost side by side as they go through the long drag down out of Lavant Corner and towards Woodcote Corner. And once more, Jerry Marshall has a look at the outside. The Mini keeping a close, tight line. The Mini actually pulling away through the corners. So nimble and so quick, and Norman Grimshaw really knows how to make this car go quickly. Derek Bell queuing up, and Jackie Oliver in the number 9 BMW, and a bit of a moment there. Tony Jardine has parked.
Starts.
No, that's not going anywhere, Tony. And that's Rowan Atkinson, who is going somewhere. He's going very well midfield in the Ford Falcon he's sharing with David Clark. Andy Bacon still running very strongly in his red and gold Falcon, which he will hand over to its owner, Leo Boyazides. The red and gold colours of these Falcons echoing Alan Mann Racing, who had so much success in the 1960s, and Alan Mann himself driving a red and gold Lotus Cortina in this race. There's Jackie Oliver in that distinctive 4-door 2-litre BMW. An 1800 Ti with a 2-litre engine. But the extraordinary thing about the speed of Norman Grimshaw's little Mini in 4th place is that it's not only on the corners that he's able to make up time. That car is extraordinarily quick down the straight. Jack Brabham coming out of the big Mercedes. So Jack, the wrong side of 75 and still racing hard. And in now, number 14, that's Rowan Atkinson, coming in to hand over to David Clark. Rowan Atkinson clambers out of the car. He'd had a happy time in that car, running in about 11th place. And we've got tremendous activity now in the pits. In comes the little Vauxhall of Nick Wigley. And we'll now have to wait for the lap charts to sort out who is really going to be moving up. But one of them we know is Grant Williams. Grant Williams already back up after that pit stop to 8th place. And the car teetering on the edge of control as he goes through the left-hander of St Mary's, cocking his inside front wheel up in the air. And then into Lavant Corner, twitches under braking, then gets it straight, goes for the first apex of Lavant. Then the second, he's got it so sideways. How he doesn't spin the car, we can't understand. And Louise is with Rowan Atkinson.
Rowan, how did that go?
It went very well, yes. Well, at least I kept it on the black stuff, as they say, and it was fine. I mean, the car is a tremendously friendly thing. And I thank God it's dry, because if it was wet, then
It wouldn't be so friendly.
No, well, and the smaller cars would just go boof. And big cars like ours wouldn't have a hope in hell. But in fact, it's a more level playing field because it's dry, I think.
Grant Williams into Woodcote Corner now. More sideways than ever. Just gets that car completely sideways, gets on the brakes very late, just shaves the chicane wall. He's on the grass, but he's back on the tarmac, and they come over the start-finish line now. Voyazides starts his last lap, and in fact, the gap has gone up to 3.4 seconds. So that rather untidy moment for Grant Williams coming out of the chicane allowed Leo Voyazides to pull out a little bit. Behind the Falcon and the Jaguar, Barry Williams is now at the wheel of the Norman Grimshaw Mini, and he's done a great job to get it established in a giant-killing third place. But into Woodcote Corner for the last time comes Voyazides. Just the chicane between him and the checkered flag now. Grant Williams, however, hasn't given up. He's still chasing, just lapping Julius Thurgood's Alpha right in the chicane. But down to the finish line comes the Falcon. It's a St Mary's Trophy victory for Voyazides and Bacon. Grant Williams with Derek Bell takes second place in the Mark I John Coombs Jaguar, and that Mini stayed in touch to the end. Barry Williams only 7 seconds down.
One racing legend made Goodwood his annual pilgrimage. And because of his sheer magnetism, crowds flocked here to see their hero. Twice World 500cc champion Barry Sheene even raced here last year when he had cancer. And sadly, in March of this year, he succumbed to the disease. But here at Goodwood, together with his great friends from racing, they're putting together a fitting tribute in his honour. One man who knew him extremely well is with us today, Murray Walker. Murray, Sheeny held great memories for you, didn't he?
Yeah, this is actually a very sad occasion, Tony, because we're remembering a really great and wonderful personality. But it's also a very happy occasion because Barry was such a lovely bloke, and he'd always got a twinkle in his eye, and he was always cheerful and friendly. That it's difficult to be anything else but cheerful yourself when you're thinking of him. Barry was absolutely meticulous. He knew everything about the bike. He could, and he did, build his own bikes. He rode them to perfection. But that sense of humour was never missing. And I'm terrible on years, but there was one year when he was racing against Kenny Roberts in the British Grand Prix at Silverstone, and they had this tremendous dice. Kenny was on the Yamaha and Barry was on the Suzuki, and they were passing and repassing, and right at the end of the race Barry passes Kenny Roberts, and as he goes past him he goes like that, you see, and I said, oh look, he's telling him he's second.
Well, we're down in the assembly area now before the tribute to Barry Sheene, and with me is Damon Hill. Damon, a hero, a great mate of yours. So what does this tribute mean to you personally?
Well, I think it's quite sad, but obviously we'd rather Barry was here, but he was such a tremendous character, and he raced here last year. And he was always very kind to me and very helpful to me, and so we're just going to remember him by riding some bikes around, and some of the bikes he used to race.
Well, you know, races are always races, and look, I enjoyed trying to beat Barry. I mean, as I said, he was my hero, or one of my heroes, but you still want to beat your heroes too, and so, you know, I had my times and I've beaten him, and of course, we were just as competitive as ever. I mean, even though he was sick with cancer last year, he still gave it a good fight, and he beat me fair and square, so I admire that in him, and I admire his courage and determination, and unfortunately, the last battle he had, he didn't win, and it's pretty sad, but I always remember how courageous he was.
Yeah, worth winning a race to get a kiss from Janet.
Yeah, exactly.
Then it was time for Barry's friends and colleagues to take to the track on some of his winning machines. A fitting Goodwood tribute to the legend that is Barry Sheene.
another fitting tribute that Goodwood have made to Barry is to rename their motorcycle race. Normally the Lennox Cup, it's now called the Barry Sheen Memorial Trophy. And here with the commentary on Murray Walker and Alan Robinson.
I'm watching the people at the front of the grid now, looking for that flag to go up and drop down. Already. And it's go, go, go here at Goodwood. Just one left on the line, and number 31, who is Jamie Witham, bursts into the lead, but riding round from the outside goes Penty Elo. Now this is going to be really interesting because Elo is on the tremendously fast, lightweight Linto with the double air Mackie engine. He's got the speed on the straight, and there is Charles Mortimer, number 10.
Yes, 10, Charles Mortimer working away hard behind Jamie Witham, and he's got Gordon Russell at his elbow, and they're really going at it hammer and tongs as they go in pursuit of the flying Finn. And there's Gordon Russell battling away. Charles Mortimer jumps a place and comes up hard in pursuit and rides right underneath the fairing of Gordon Russell. A beautiful manoeuvre.
Up on the end of lap 2 into lap 3, and it's really close. Penty Elo has got Witham, number 31, behind him. Charles Mortimer, number 10, in 3rd position, has got Wayne Gardner. There he is, number 1, in 4th position. They're pulling away from Duncan Fitchett and from Russell in 5th and 6th places. And then in 7th and 8th places, Bill Swallow and Naughton, and you forget the rest. There's 6 seconds covering the top 8. That's how close it is. And Wayne Gardner goes through and takes Charles Mortimer. So Wayne from Australia, and he's got a farm out there. He lives in Monaco. He's had a wonderful career in motorcycles. He's had a wonderful career in the Australian Touring Car Championship. He's now retired from motorsport, he told me at breakfast this morning, although I wouldn't have thought it. And as you see, Jamie Witham is now ahead of Penty Elo. Witham leading, Elo 2nd, Mortimer in 4th place, Wayne Gardner there in 3rd position, and it's still close, close, close.
Gardner trying to steal the corners, and he's acing the corners, goes up the inside, absolutely a dramatic moment. He's with him, and he has to give Elo the corners again. The Finn sweeps right across him, and they're in pursuit of Jamie Witham out in front. What a superb dice.
Yeah, Wayne Gardner is having to be very, very careful indeed. He doesn't know the Finn. He's not ridden close to him as he is doing now before. But now Wayne Gardner goes for it, a magnificent move. Rides right round the outside of Penty Elo, and he's clearing off. That's it, my friend. I'm on my way.
Gardner goes for a look, looks down Witham's left side, looks up the right, comes up the inside. They both hit the brakes hard, and Gardner goes back on the brakes, lets the brakes go, opens the throttle, and flicks it into the lead. Wayne Gardner back again.
And into the chicane for the 7th and last time. They are about to start their last lap. There are 2 big battles at the front of this race. You're watching one of them. Wayne Gardner, number 1. Jamie Witham, number 31. And a couple of seconds behind them is Penty Elo and Charles Mortimer battling for 3rd position.
Witham tries to come back on Wayne Gardner. He's not given up at all. He's with him, Dower, Duggett, Yorkshire man. He wants to get in there and really battle through. Wayne Gardner is in front. His knee goes out. He's determined to stay in front. But look at the angle of lean of Witham's Molnar machine. He's really going for it. He's sticking with him. It's going to be a dive for the flag, just like last year where we had Wayne Gardner and Barry Sheen. They're going to repeat the performance. They've got 22 back marker with them, and here they come, and Witham comes up alongside.
Round past Richard Adams they go. Now there was only 0.3 of a second in it yesterday. Who's going to win on aggregate? That's Richard Thurkel's Norton that they're approaching now, and it's Jamie Witham as they come up to the closing stage of the lap. Now can Wayne Gardner do it? I don't think he can. What a finish. Over the line goes Witham to win the 2nd leg. Well, that is not something I expected, and it's not something that Wayne Gardner let happen. Now, according to our timekeeping here, there was 1/10 of a second between it. The 2 of them, there were 0.3 of a second in the reverse order yesterday. So that means, unless I'm very much mistaken, that Wayne Gardner has won the Barry Sheen Memorial Trophy Series on aggregate by 2/5 of a second. Incredible.
you want to really get into the swing of things here, it's essential to get the Goodwood look. And that means dressing up in period style. Now, Jo, you've been helping a lot of people get the look this weekend. What are you doing most? Hair and makeup?
Hair and makeup for the ladies. I send the gents to the barber's shop and then just genuinely titivating everybody as they come in the mornings.
How diverse were the fashions back in the sort of 50s and 60s?
You've got a difference between continental and American fashions and then the good old British tweed fashion. So you see everyone dressed in anything from tweeds to lovely 40s American suits, and then you get cross-continental French fashions, which is a totally different thing altogether.
What was the key look in the 50s?
Nipped-in waists, nice little fitted jackets, full skirts or nice tight pencil skirts, high heels, very glamorous.
David, you've been doing a roaring business at Goodwood this weekend. What's the key fashion item, the must-have item for gentlemen?
Well, a lot of chaps, I mean, in the 1950s, it'd be incomplete without a hat, so we really need a hat. We're selling tweed caps, Panama hats, because it's quite nice and sunny.
Ladies are quite keen on dressing up, but it's not normally such a big thing with blokes. Do you find they're quite keen to put on the period costumes?
If you look around, I think men are flowering here today. I mean, ladies are making a fabulous effort. There's some fabulous-looking girls walking around, but there's a pretty good display of tweeds here at the moment, too, so... People have a much better time because people are walking past other people, checking each other out and smiling, and it's very nice and social. It makes the whole thing, you know, just like a big fancy dress party.
Not enough pips on the old Cheldrell boy.
Jardine, in the army, we dress properly. I notice in the Navy you don't seem to wear a cap.
Blew off in the wind.
If you were under my command, you would be in the brig so quickly that your feet would not touch the ground. Now get away and get dressed properly and report back to me in 5 minutes.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Carry on.
Can't get a word in edgeways. I've got more brains than you.
One of the highlight races for a lot of people here at Goodwood is the RAC TT Celebration, also known as the Tourist Trophy. Over £30 million worth of these GT cars from the early 1960s will be performing in this two-driver race.
Well, if any race can be counted as being the main race of this wonderful Goodwood Revival weekend, it is the recreation of the Royal Automobile Club Tourist Trophy. In every way, in the spirit of the races that used to be run here at Goodwood in the late 1950s and early 1960s. A magnificent field of lightweight E-types, Chevrolet Corvettes, Ferraris, and on pole position, a man who loves to come here to Goodwood, Emanuele Pirro, sharing with Gregor Fiskin, as he did last year, in the original lightweight E-type. Next to him, Peter Hardman in that red 330 Ferrari, and on the outside, the red and gold Cobra of Graham Bryant. It's a 1 hour race with 2 drivers, so all of these cars will have to come in and make a driver change. We're waiting for the green flag at the back. There it is that says everybody is in position. Watch now for the Union Jack, which will come up and down to start the race. It's down. The front row moves absolutely as one, but a great start by Emanuele Pirro in the grey E-type on the left of your picture. Peter Hardman is almost alongside, but has to fall back as they go into Madgwick Corner. And Graham Bryant has slotted into 3rd place. Coming up into 4th is Dickie Atwood in the big Iso Grifo. He's in 4th place. But the Jaguar, the lightweight E-type Jaguar, the ex-Roy Salvadori John Coombs car, has made the best of all possible starts from pole position. Off goes Nick Mason in his Ferrari GTO. His TT has lasted less than a lap, but it's Emanuele Pirro who's leading already from 1.8 seconds from Peter Hardman. In 3rd place, it's Graham Bryant in the Cobra. with on his tail the yellow E-Type, and that is Gary Pearson, who's going extremely well, but Gary Pearson still can't quite come to grips with this cobra. Yes, he does. Leaves his braking so late, slides wide. Graham Bryant tries to come back as they go into the left-hand part of St Mary's, and you can see the front wheels of Gary Pearson's car going from side to side as he goes from positive lock to opposite lock, grappling for grip. Off goes Ludovic Lindsay in the other low drag E-Type, and he's stuck in the gravel on the outside of Woodcote Corner. Now that's a problem, because when we've had cars off at Woodcote on the outside before, if the marshals haven't been able to move the car quickly, they have usually decided to red flag the race until they can move it. And we've got a safety car coming out. That is because they need to move the stranded E-Type of Ludovic Lindsay. Safety car now pulling off. The safety car is in, the race is officially on once more, and there, the grey E-Type of Emanuele Pirro, but of course behind him, he's got Peter Hardman, who's been able to close right up. Those are the three leaders, none of them have stopped, and it's Emanuele Pirro, Peter Hardman and Gary Pearson all together, and they're all racing. Oh, and off now goes David Franklin. David Franklin has thrown it all away. Jochen Mass had done such a great job with the number 26 lightweight E-Type, but off goes David Franklin, very experienced driver, always quick, but usually very tidy, and he won't be at all happy with himself about that. David Franklin gets away from the car, and it's happened, I think, at Woodcote Corner yet again, and that means we may well have to have another safety car. Yes, the official GT40 is on the track, and while we've got the safety car out, I think a lot of these drivers are going to choose this moment to make their stops to change drivers. Yes, indeed, we've got Emanuele Pirro out of the leading E-Type, and Gregor Fiskin in. Pirro helping Fiskin with his seat belts. One of the team is just checking the left rear tyre, because that's the one that takes so much punishment here at Goodwood with its mainly right-handed corners. Little pat on the rump of the car. Fiskin's back in the race, and David Franklin gets restarted as well.
Manny, you were setting a cracking pace out there.
Excuse me?
Was it loud in your car, dear?
I forgot the earplugs. No, it was good. Actually, I was really happy. The car was really good. I mean, these are the usual things that drivers say after an interview when they were leading, but the car was really good, honestly.
14 minutes left of the 1 hour Tourist Trophy, and our leader now is the man with the famous name, Juan Manuel Fangio II, the nephew of the 5 times world champion. He's taken over the yellow E-Type of Gary Pearson. Meanwhile, Gregor Fiskin is carving back through the field, about to lap Juan Barazzi's Aston Martin Zagato. Oh, and he's lost it! He's lost it on the left-hander of St Mary's. The car spins like a top. He's going to be able to get back onto the circuit, but Ian Flux will go by. There he goes in Peter Hardman's red Ferrari 330. We see it again, and it seemed that Barazzi turned left across the front of Fiskin, who of course was lapping him, and there was nothing that he could do about it. But now look at this battle. This is the battle for the lead. Fangio in the yellow E-Type, Mark Hales in the red Iso Grifo, which was started in this race by Richard Atwood, and Hales is going for it. The car is smoking quite badly, but it's still very quick. They've got a back marker in front of them, and Hales manages to box in Fangio behind the back marker, which was Carl Ulrich Berberich's Ferrari GTO. A wonderful piece of strategic driving by Mark Hales, who simply left Fangio with nowhere to go. He had the back marker in front of him, Hales had the outside line, and Hales has got the lead. Fangio trying to hang on as they lap Sean Lynn's Cobra there, going down into Woodcote for the final time. Gillian Goldsmith's Aston Martin DB4 GT in front of them. Fangio closes right up, but it's going to be Hales' race. The checkered flag waiting. Mark Hales, with Richard Atwood, has won the 2003 RAC Tourist Trophy celebration. The Gary Pearson, Juan Manuel Fangio II E-Type is just 7/10 of a second behind, and there is the Hardman Flux Ferrari. Gregor Fiskin has been making up time after his spin with the E-Type, but it's not going to be enough. The Ferrari is third, the grey E-Type is fourth.
you. Racing drivers in the 50s and 60s certainly knew how to party, and no revival meeting would be complete without the legendary Goodwood party. So let's go check it out. Now, you are one of the racing drivers, a modern racing driver who, a bit like the guys in the old days, likes to sort of get into the spirit of things, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I love Goodwood so much. I mean, I sound like I've been here for years, but it's only my second time. But I've just had such a ball over these, certainly last year and these few days. It's a completely different atmosphere to most motorsport.
My wife dressed me tonight, so if you blame her for the Indiana Jones look. So.
You going to have a good time?
Yes, no, it's a great place. It's always a great weekend. Sort of flybys with a Spitfire and old cars, and it's sort of a bit of a busman's holiday for me, of course, but a great weekend.
I can't wait, actually. I'm going to find some bloke called Anthony somewhere, I believe, and he should be the love of my life. So what more could I hope for?
Who is Anthony?
Anthony and Cleopatra.
Oh, I'm sorry.
In Italy, I always say we have a lot of tifosi, but not so many motor racing enthusiasts. Here, regardless what car it is, if it's an old car, people like it. It doesn't have to be necessarily a Ferrari. So you guys are lucky in this way.
Lady Brabham, you must have been to some spectacular parties over the years. How does this one compare?
Oh, well, this is wonderful. Anything Lord March does is first class, and here we are in this gorgeous hangar, and you cannot believe what it is. It's magic, absolute magic. Here we've got mummies, and we've got belly dancers and sword swallowers. What more can a girl ask for?
This is the Richmond and Gordon race, Richmond and Gordon trophies, 2 trophies awarded for the first rear engine, the first front engine car, because this brackets the late period of front engined Grand Prix cars and the early period of rear engine. On pole position, Rod Jolly with the car that Jack Brabham used and Bruce McLaren to win his first World Championship. Donna Roscoe in the middle of the front row with that wonderful blue Scarab, and on the outside, the last car to win a front-engine Formula One race, which is the Ferrari. They're all cleanly away and storming down to Madgwick Corner, and Rod Jolly versus Donna Roscoe for the lead. It's Rod Jolly who has the lead. It's Donna Roscoe in second place with the big Scarab. Up into third has come Joachim Falk in the little Lotus 16. And the Ferrari, I think, down in fourth place. That's Tony Smith with the red Ferrari. And also moving up and attacking Tony Smith is Philip Walker with his Lotus 16. Cooper leads Lotus, leads Scarab, leads Ferrari, leads Lotus. And apart from the leader, they're all front-engine cars in this top 5. Sixth man is Alan Bailey in the little rear-engined Lotus 18, with Thomas Bashir 7th in his Maserati 250F. They're back at the chicane once more. Rob Hall, after his off, is now in 8th place, and we've got a red flag. And I suspect that red flag will be because Thomas Bashir's car, there he is stalled and stationary by the side of the track. And he's in a very dangerous position because he's right on the edge of the track. He can't move his car. But this is what happens. He was attacking Alan Bailey, and it really didn't come off, and he spun 180 degrees one way, then 180 the other. Now, underway again, and Philip Walker has the lead in his Lotus 16, but Rod Jolly isn't happy with that. Into Lavant, Rod Jolly takes a very tight line and goes neatly through on the inside, but that means he slides wide again, and the Lotus gets it back again at the second apex of Lavant. Superb racing from these 1959 Formula One cars. They're on the Lavant straight now, 2.5 metres of 4-cylinder twin-cam Coventry Climax engine in the front of the Lotus and in the back of the Cooper, and Rod Jolly tries the outside line as they get on the brakes for Woodcote. Oh, and Rod Jolly's off! A big moment, Rod Jolly on the gravel. Can he keep it off the... He does. He gets it out of the gravel again and gets it back on the road, but Tony Smith has gone by in the Ferrari. As he got on the brakes, the back end of the Cooper snicked out. He was on the gravel and he managed miraculously to maintain enough momentum to get himself out of the gravel and back onto the tarmac once more. But Tony Smith there going by in the red Ferrari. And that really means that Philip Walker suddenly is in a much more uncontested lead. Joachim Falk up into second place. Tony Smith is third. Rod Jolly has rejoined in fourth place, ahead of Rob Hall in the BRN, who is fifth. Philip Walker then on his final lap. A race which has been red flagged and then restarted. Wolfgang Friedrich's Aston Martin, number 1 in front of him, but the checkered flag is waiting. And Philip Walker wins in his Lotus 16. The identical car of Joachim Falk is going to be second. Philip Walker absolutely delighted, gesturing. Here comes the other Lotus 16 of Joachim Falk to make a Lotus 16 1-2. And Tony Smith hangs on to third place, but just by a whisker.
Well, we're coming to the end of our visit to the time warp that is the Goodwood Revival, but we're not done just yet. These mighty GT40s used to race here in the 1960s, and they'll be back on the track, battling with the Ferraris once again in the Whitsun Trophy when we come back. Race to go here at Goodwood. It's the Whitsun Trophy for 1960s sports prototypes. Now, Darren, you actually won this race last year, didn't you?
Yeah, absolutely. It's an old sponsor of mine and good friend, and it's just a bit of a good fun weekend, really. I'm really enjoying it. Obviously, only 5th on the grid so far. We had a bit of a problem in qualifying where I had to stop early, but should make for an exciting race, which is what this weekend's all about.
This car must be older than you.
And worth probably more as well, so...
David, it's like the old days all over again, the Ferrari versus the GT40s. How do you fancy your chances?
Well, it's great fun. I'm looking forward to it. I just hope the car lasts and I last.
You've got some tough competition out there today, haven't you?
Yes, they have, haven't they?
No, you have, Jackie.
Well, let's wait and see. I mean, it's a classic car race, so everybody wants to do well, but, you know, have to keep things within limits.
I guess you're going to be taking no prisoners out there?
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, you're starting from pole anyway, the best place to be.
Well, it usually is. There's no guarantees, you know.
Wait for the Union Jack, it falls, away goes the front row in plumes of rubber smoke. And who's going to come away from the grid and be first down to Madgwick? It's Frank Sittner. Sittner is first. Simon Hadfield is in second place. Jackie Oliver is up to third. Darren Manning's made a good start in fourth place. Then it's Bill Shepherd in David Piper's green Ferrari 250LM, which is fifth. And Willie Green back in sixth place in his yellow Ford GT40, the JCB Bamford car. So Frank Sittner leading through Fordwater, coming now for the first of 18 laps down to St Mary's, through the left-hander of St Mary's, away down to Lavant Corner. 27 is the yellow GT40 of Willie Green with the little Carlos Monteverdi yellow Ferrari Dino right on its tail. And one of the GT40s coming up very fast on the inside. And as they pour onto the Lavant Straight and already on their way down towards Woodcote Corner, Frank Sittner leads Simon Hadfield, but Simon Hadfield's coming down the inside. Hadfield goes through into Woodcote Corner. Hadfield in the Lotus 30 goes ahead of Frank Sittner in the Lola T70. Still Jackie Oliver is third and first of the GT40s. Then it's Darren Manning fourth. And Frank Sittner, who's only just bought this Lola T70, has done barely any laps in it before practice, still getting used to it. And a spin behind, that's Carlos Monteverdi in the little 2-litre Dino. He's done the left-hand side of the car, no good at all. And there are several cars stationary at the chicane. Complete carnage. Number 27 is Willie Green's Ford GT40, and not surprisingly, we've got a red flag. But that looked to me like a collision between Willie Green and Carlos Monteverdi in the little yellow Ferrari Dino, who was very close to Willie Green as they came down through Woodcote. And Willie Green looking extremely angry. And it seems that the chain reaction began when Ray Bell, in his blue GT40, hit Willie Green's car coming into the chicane. Frank Sittner now very much closer than he was as they come through the plume of smoke put down by Steve Tiern's McLaren. The Lotus still leads the Lola through all these back markers. They're at Lavant Corner, that long, long double right-hander. And onto the long straight, the fastest part of the circuit, where these cars are getting up to about 170, 175 miles an hour. The smoking McLaren keeps out of the way, and look, Simon Hadfield is very angry because he knows that the oil is coming from the red McLaren, and his gesticulations say, get off the track, you're just making it slippery for everybody else. And now finally Steve Tiern puts his hand up to say he's coming into the pits, and somebody's clipped the chicane. Black flag there, and that surely is for the oily McLaren. And now here comes the Lola, and they're going to be side by side as they go down into St Mary's on the right-hand part of St Mary's, and then the left-hand that follows. Frank Sittner goes easily through on the inside of Simon Hadfield and re-establishes himself in the lead on this, the 12th of 16 laps. And some scraped paint on the front left of Sittner's Lola there shows that it was him that shaved the long-suffering chicane last time through. And Hadfield certainly doesn't think it's over yet. He's hanging on to the Lola brilliantly, looking for an opportunity still to get his lead back as they come into the double right-hander of Lavant Corner for the last time. The Lola with a 5.9-litre Chevrolet V8, the Lotus with a 4.7-litre Ford V8, and both of them now on the long Lavant straight for the last time, and Hadfield losing a little bit of momentum as the extra horsepower of the Chevrolet pulls Sittner away, and now they're down into Woodcote Corner. On go the brakes, and once more Hadfield gets close, but I think not close enough. Through Woodcote Corner, there's just the chicane left. A twitch from Sittner as he gets the power on now through the chicane, and on the grass goes Hadfield. A big moment, mowing down a post there, but Sittner's got it all together. Sittner wins the race. I think Sittner slowed slightly as he came out of the chicane, leaving Hadfield with nowhere to go. But that's Jackie Oliver taking third place. He won the Le Mans 24 Hours over 30 years ago in a GT40, just like that.
Well, that's it, the end of our nostalgic trip down motor racing memory lane here at Goodwood. It's time to pack away the clothes, hand back the car, and head back to the high-tech world of Formula One. Until we come back next year and do it all again, that is. Bye-bye.